Hi, my name is Natasha Johnson. For my generational narrative, I chose to interview my mom and my grandmother. I'll start with my mom's interview. Um, my mom's name is Jennifer Daughter. She was born on October the 4th of 1970. She'll be 44 in just a couple of days. She was born in Bristol, Tennessee, where she has spent most of her life, with the exception of a 6-month period. Her family moved to Arizona when she was in the 6th grade. She is the youngest of 3 children. Her parents divorced at a very young age, so she was raised by her dad and her stepmom. She went to Arizona for that 6-month period. They came back. She completed schooling. She graduated from Sullivan East. She immediately afterwards married and had myself and my sister. She has since worked in several different types of jobs. She's been a hairdresser, a cake decorator, a deli manager. She's also worked in a warehouse and has worked in pharmaceutical packaging. My mom said that as a child, she doesn't really remember prejudice being a topic for discussion in her house. She was mainly just told not to interact with people who were different from her. It was best for everyone to stick to their own kind. She recalls adults hearing adults talk their conversations, and that they would use name calling and negative comments or remarks regarding people that were different from them. My mom did not you notice any kind of unwritten rules per se. She said that the adults seemed to demonstrate and practice the same that she was told to do. Just stick with your own kind. Don't mingle, intertwine with people that are different. It wasn't needed, and it was best for everyone not to. My mom um, said that the first time that she recalled meeting anyone that was different from her was when she had started kindergarten. She said that there was an African American boy in her class. She doesn't really remember what her initial reactions or thoughts were, though, because she was so young. She said that she was a very shy and quiet kid. Eventually, they did become friends, though, and she said that they were friends all the way through school, up until high school. He actually moved schools. She said at that point they lost touch. It wasn't because of any particular reason besides that parents didn't know about the friendship, and that she knew if they found out and she told them that they wouldn't approve, and that it went against everything that they had taught her, even though she felt that the kid wasn't any different than she was or any of the other kids that she went to school with. She said that whenever she moved to Arizona, though, everything was completely different. She said the community was so diverse. The people that she hung out with and met were so accepting of who you were. It didn't matter your background or color or anything. She said that here people are just so judged so harshly based on appearance, and it was hard to get used to at first, everybody being so accepting there, but it was really nice to know that there were people out there like that. She could only really think of one event that occurred in her lifetime that had some influence on her thoughts of other people, not necessarily not causing her to have bad thoughts, but just to make her think about it in a grander scheme of things. Um, she said she was at work. It was at the beginning stages of the Gulf War. She was talking to coworkers about what may happen and this, that, and that sort of thing. She was talking, and one of the women she worked with was Hispanic, and she was talking about how her son had dual citizenship. And she was saying that if she had the choice and it was an option for him to fight with their forces versus the U.S. forces, that she would prefer him do so. Um, my mom really just didn't understand why she would make that choice when this is her home and this is her livelihood. What would make her choose that? As far as making her feel any negatively towards anyone of the Hispanic group, it doesn't. She's actually quite anything but. She just wanted to understand why she may have made that decision. Um, my mom, growing up, my mom always told us, a person is a person, regardless of their race or their religion or where their background may come from. She said everyone deserves to be treated equally, and she really has tried to demonstrate and instill good values and morals for us to live by. She would always remind us not to judge a person by their outward appearance, or don't judge a book by its cover. She would tell us that you can miss out on a great relationship or companionship by doing so, and it's sad to know that you can miss out on a good chapter of your life. Another one of her favorite phrases was to use the "do unto others as you have done unto you." Said that one all the time, and that one's really stuck with me. Um, she said she definitely feels prejudice in the U.S. has changed. The problem has improved in some aspects, but she doesn't feel that she feels, I'm sorry, that people are more conscious and mindful of other people and their groups, in being more politically correct when referring to others that may be different from themselves. She said like the negative name calling and negative remarks, is nowhere near as common or as acceptable in any way than it was whenever she was growing up and was younger. As far as what she feels like was the most influential on her views about diversity was her religion. She said that it taught her to see past a physical appearance and to essentially, she said she tries to live by the love of thy neighbor. So she tries to see past who you are and where you came from and to see the good in everybody. She feels that her responsibility in combating prejudice is to do all that she can do on a personal level to treat people the way that they deserve to be treated. Um, to continue, she tries to continue to teach us kids the correct way to treat others and to be respectful with respect and dignity, so that they feel that they're equal to us and we don't feel that we're superior in any kind of way or that we feel we're inferior. Um, there is a lot, she said, that we can do. There is not, I'm sorry, a lot that we can do to handle prejudice and discrimination in the U.S. until people actually learn how to accept others for who they are as a person. If we were all able to do so, if that was able to occur, then the problem would essentially fix itself. My mom said that she does kind of worry that if laws are enforced, or they take like forceful actions to try and fix the problem, that it can make things worse. It could cause more or less like riots and anger people more so than fix the problem. So that concludes my mom's interview. I'll go ahead and move forward with my Mema's interview. My Mema's name is Linda Morris. She is born in Sullivan County on April the 1st of 1945. So she's 69. She said she was born on Easter Sunday, and she was born at home by the aid of a midwife. She was the only child, and she was raised by her mother, her grandmother, and her grandfather. Her parents were never married, and she has never actually met her father. Her My mama has always lived in the holler, in the valley of the mountains. Um, Her grandfather was a farmer, and her grandmother and her mother both had multiple sclerosis. So she cared for her mom and her grandmother growing up. Once she completed high school, she got married in 1963. She had three kids. She was a stay-at-home mom, so she cared for her three kids, the house, and her mom and her grandmother until they passed. At which point she then entered work. She said she worked as a waitress at several different places. She has worked calibrating thermostats. She's worked in a warehouse, correlating customer payment books, and she has also worked just doing cleaning also. As a child, Memo doesn't really recall any adult discussing prejudice with her. She said that the only thing that she was ever told growing up was to always be nice and respectful to everyone. She couldn't think of any kind of unwritten rules And as far as she knew, that her mother and grandparents practiced what they preached. They never really got off the farm that much, given her mom and her grandmother's condition. And since her grandfather was a farmer, he worked there. And then she said that some of the his clients would come and buy produce and such from him there. So they never really got out much. She said when she started work at Fingerhut was the first time that she recalls meeting someone who was different from her in race or origin. She said growing up, there weren't any kids in school that were different, and that even though she hadn't had the previous interaction with anyone before, as an adult, she didn't even think anything of it. It didn't even come to her mind. She says she worked with this African American woman who was super sweet and nice. She helped her in her new job. She kind of was her trainer or her mentor. She said they became good friends. They sat beside each other from then forward. They talked all the time. And she said that she really felt that they had a mutual respect for one another as just a human. And she couldn't imagine saying anything negative or bad about her. She could not really think of an event that influenced her opinion on prejudice. She says she does recall, of course, 9/11, that she felt, when it happened, she felt sad and hurt and fear for the people that were involved and that what might happen. She says she felt negatively towards the people that were in the midst of it and causing the destruction. But all in all, as a group, she doesn't feel negatively towards them as it was all of their fault or all made the same decision as a couple did. She has worked with many people, she said, in her adult life, and she has yet to find a reason to discriminate against any one specific group. She said that she has no reason to discriminate against anyone, and she doesn't want to cause any problems for others, and she doesn't want any problems caused for herself. Her goal is just to get along with everyone and keep everyone happy. She taught her kids growing up to be respectful of others regardless of their origin, that everyone is different in some way or shape, and to treat everyone the same as if they would want to be treated. She also thinks that her kids turned out too honest, kind-hearted, and trusting for their own good. My mom also said that she feels prejudice in the U.S. has gotten worse. No one has any respect for anyone. She feels she feels everyone discriminates against everyone, regardless of who they are, where they came from. She feels it's only caused more conflict in the world, and that people are just more selfish and greedy all in all than they used to be. As far as the greatest influence on her views, she said it would be religion and her family. These two aspects really instilled the values that she lives by and shaped the person that she's become and allowed her to teach her kids how to see the world differently than a lot of people do. Whenever I asked her about what she thought her responsibility may be in combating prejudice, she couldn't really think of anything specific besides she said all that she can do is what she's done for years. Be kind, respectful, and accepting of others and their feelings. She was unsure of how to answer the last question on how she believes prejudice and discrimination should be handled in the future. She said, we all have to learn to be accepting and respectful, to treat each other how we want to be treated, and to just hope for the best. So that concludes my memo interview. All in all, I found this project to be very interesting. I really enjoyed interviewing my mom and my mama, seeing how different their upbringings were, but yet how similar the outcome was. My mom grew up in the city as compared to my mama, who was like isolated in a very small area. It kind of makes you think and shows you that it is maybe easier to form prejudice when that's what you grow up around. But as it shows with my mom, in her life, it doesn't have to be that way, and that you can overcome that as a person. It may take a lot of willpower, but it can be done. So all in all, this is a great project. I'd like to see how others turn out. It's very interesting. So that's my generational narrative. Thank you.